Some photographs don't just capture a moment. They change the world and destroy the person who took them. This is the story of the most haunting photograph ever taken, the man behind the camera, and the devastating price he paid for one single click of a shutter. Kevin Carter was born on September 13, 1960 in Johannesburg, South Africa. Alcatron. He grew up in a whites-only middle-class neighborhood during the brutal era of apartheid. Even as a child, he witnessed police raids dragging black people out of their homes, and unlike many around him, it disturbed him deeply. He later said he couldn't understand how his own family could remain silent about such injustice. After high school, Carter dropped out of his studies to become a pharmacist and was drafted into the army. To escape the infantry, he enlisted in the Air Force, where he served 4 years. But the military didn't silence him. It only hardened his resolve to expose the truth. After leaving the army, Kevin became a photojournalist. He joined a daring, fearless group of 4 photographers who ran straight toward danger while everyone else was running away. This group, known as the Bang Bang Club, consisted of Kevin Carter, Greg Marinovich, Ken Oosterbrook, and João Silva. They were active within the townships of South Africa between 1990 and 1994, during the violent transition from apartheid to multiracial democracy. These men didn't just take pictures. They put their lives on the line every single day to show the world what was happening in the shadows. In March 1993, Kevin Carter was sent on an assignment to Sudan, a country being torn apart by civil war and a devastating famine. People were dying in the thousands. Children were starving to death in the open sun. Near the village of Iod, Carter found a girl who had stopped to rest while struggling toward a United Nations feeding center, whereupon a vulture had landed nearby. What happened next became one of the most debated moments in the history of journalism. Carter photographed the victims of famine. Seeking a break from the distressing scenes, he accidentally encountered a child lying in the hot sun. Soon, a vulture landed nearby. Carter captured the moment and then waited another 20 minutes for the bird to spread its wings for a more dramatic shot. When this didn't happen, he chased the vulture away. This occurred near a UN feeding center where the child was headed after resting. The parents were collecting food from a humanitarian airplane at the time, leaving their child unattended briefly. One click, one photograph, and the world would never be the same. The haunting image of an emaciated Sudanese child collapsed in a heap on the way to a United Nations feeding center, vulture perched ominously nearby, ignited worldwide sympathy and outrage when it was published in the March 26, 1993 issue of the New York Times. The questions came flooding in immediately. Why didn't he help her? How could he just leave her there? What kind of monster stands and watches a child die? The world was furious. Critics called Kevin Carter inhuman, heartless, a vulture himself, no better than the bird in the photograph. But here is what most people didn't know. Few knew that Carter had been accompanied by armed Sudanese soldiers who prevented him from interfering with any tragic scenes he witnessed in the country. Furthermore, Carter was working in a time when photojournalists were told not to touch famine victims for fear of spreading disease. Carter estimated that there were 20 people per hour dying at the food center. The child was not unique. And the child, days after the photo was published, the Times added an editor's note informing readers that the vulture had flown away and the child had continued on toward the feeding center. In April 1994, Kevin Carter received the highest honor in journalism. Carter won the Pulitzer Award for feature photography for his controversial picture depicting famine in Sudan. It should have been the greatest moment of his life. Instead, it became the beginning of his destruction. Just 6 days after winning the Pulitzer, tragedy struck again. On the 18th of April, 1994, the Bang Bang Club made their way to Thokoza to photograph an outbreak of violence. Later in the day, Carter heard over the radio that his friend Ken Oosterbrook had been killed in the conflict, and Greg Marinovich was seriously injured. His best friend, gone, his colleague, fighting for his life. And Kevin was left alone, carrying the weight of every image he had ever taken. 3 months after winning the Pulitzer Prize on July 27, 1994, Carter drove to Parkmore near the Field and Study Center, an area where he used to play as a child, and committed suicide by taping one end of a hose to his pickup truck's exhaust pipe and running the other end to the driver's side window. He died of carbon monoxide poisoning at the age of 33. He left behind a note. Portions of Carter's suicide note read, "I'm really, really sorry. The pain of life overrides the joy to the point that joy does not exist. I am haunted by the vivid memories of killings and corpses and anger and pain, of starving or wounded children, of trigger-happy madmen." He was 33 years old. For years, nobody knew. Then in 2011, a journalist finally tracked down the truth. A reporter from the Spanish newspaper El Mundo traveled to Sudan to investigate the whereabouts of the struggling child. As it turned out, the child was not a girl at all. The child was a boy named Kong Nyong, who, according to his father, survived the famine but died in 2007 of fevers. So the child lived for a while, and the photographer who captured his struggle gave his own life to the weight of what he had witnessed. Kevin Carter's death sparked discourse on the ethics of photojournalism, challenging the standard for reporters to simply document without intervening. Conversations surrounding the psychological toll that conflict photography had on journalists expanded as well. Was Kevin Carter a monster or a martyr, a coward or a hero? The debate continues to this day. What is certain is this: one photograph woke up the entire world to the horror of famine in Sudan. It brought aid, it brought attention, it changed policy, and it cost one young man everything: his peace, his sanity, and ultimately, his life. This is the killer photograph.